Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
There were doubts that Ronald and Benita Coleman had comedy chops to be able to do a comedy program. But then they did the Jack Benny Show, and that became The Halls of Ivy, a spin-off, if you will, although it's indirectly. Their performances on the Jack Benny Show won them the leads in The Halls of Ivy, starring Ronald and Benita Coleman. This episode from January 13th, 1950, about the student newspaper.
I was curious. I tasted it. Now I know why Schlitz is the beer that made Milwaukee famous.
If you like good beer, you'll find it pays to be curious and learn about Schlitz for yourself. And now the Joseph Schlitz Brewing Company of Milwaukee, Wisconsin presents Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman. And now, the Halls of Ivy.
We love the halls of ivy that surround us here today, and we will not forget though we be far, far away.
Welcome again to Ivy College, that is, in the town of Ivy, USA. We suppose most people regard a college president, when they happen to think of him at all, as a man concerned only with scholarly matters, such as a fat endowment or a new football stadium. Now, this is a profound misconception. In most respects, college presidents have the same interests we do. At this moment, for example, Dr. William Todhunter Hall, the president of Ivy, sits book in hand seeking the answer to a question millions of thoughtful Americans are asking themselves tonight. Who done it? Mrs. Hall is going over the household accounts.
Toddy, the telephone. Toddy, please answer the telephone.
I hear it, Victoria, but I don't see it.
You were the one who wanted the extra long extension cord installed.
I know I did. I thought it would be a convenience. I didn't foresee it as an endless series of romps through the living room. Do you see it anywhere?
It seems to be coming from that part of the room.
It's coming from every part of the room.
Well, look under the couch.
This is one of the most infuriating... Yes, what is it, Penny?
The telephone is ringing, sir.
Thank you. We are trying to find it.
I found the cord.
That's good. Now follow it to the end. It's all right, Penny.
Yes, sir.
Well, answer it, Victoria.
Wrong end.
Not again. This happens every time. I can't... Oh, here it is. I've got it.
Well done.
Now, let's see who... It stopped. Yes, it's provoking to think it may have been important.
It's even more provoking to think it may have been a wrong number. Stop worrying over it, Toddy. You said you were going to relax this evening. Go on back to your mystery. Is it a good one?
Yes, very intriguing. And almost as bloody as Hamlet.
Like another cushion?
No, thank you, darling. I'm quite comfortable. I can reach it. Hello? Yes, speaking. Oh, good evening. Oh, fine, thank you. Tonight? Well, yes, if it's really important. When shall I expect you? Very well, then. Yes. Goodbye.
Oh, dear. Could you put him off? Seems such a shame to let yourself in for such dreadful dullness on your one free night.
I doubt that I shall find it dull. Wellman and I share a common interest in... I wonder what sort of a nasty brew he's concocted this time.
Well, go on. Do drop the other shoe, Toddy. You were saying that you and Mr. Wellman share a common interest. A common interest in what?
My job. I have it, and he wants me out of it. He's been after that for years, pursuing it with the fixity of purpose and the utter lack of humor of a child reading a comic book.
Well, there's no point in fretting. Have an apple.
Vicky, darling, I love you, but I cannot be soothed with a pippin.
I wasn't trying to soothe you, Toddy. I was merely trying to induce you to eat some fruit. You never eat any at all. It's bad for you. Is there any chance of Mr. Wellman getting you out of your job?
Oh, not for the next 5 years. My contract, as you know, runs through 1955. But he seems to have reasoned that if little drops of water can, in the course of time, produce a phenomenon like the Grand Canyon, I need not complete the thought.
You sure you won't try Pippin?
Quite sure, my dear. In my most tranquil moments, I have little taste for apples. I've even less while awaiting the arrival of a colleague who is seeking to dehorse me.
It's very odd, you know. I should detest fruit, too. It figured so prominently in my first professional appearance.
Really, Victoria? I've always thought of your theatrical career as a series of personal triumphs.
Yeah, well, it was, for the most part. But not in this particular instance. I was only 15, but rather ripe for my age, when a comic named Artie Pinero offered me a job as his partner in a variety turn.
15? I wish I'd seen the act.
You'll change your mind when I'll tell you we were billed as Pinero and Cromwell, those funny people. We broke in a turn at a small variety house in the East End of London. I like to think the performance flopped because of its subtlety.
What was it like?
Well, I'd feed Artie a line, and he'd retort wittily, and then we'd slosh each other about the head with inflated bladders. The harvest of fruit generally occurred after we'd been on about 3 minutes, and order was not restored until about the 6th chorus of God Save the King.
And you still like apples, huh? 9 o'clock. Wellman will be here any minute.
Oh, Toddy, don't look so concerned. Do you think he's got some particular grudge against you?
No, I don't think so. No, he's just a sort of an intellectual Sunday driver. He has no destination in mind and resents being passed by someone who has. Uh-oh, there he is now.
Well, Penny will let him in. You're not really worrying about his visit, are you?
No, but the jawbone of an ass is a legendary weapon. And Mr. Wellman, being equipped with both uppers and lowers... Whoops. Oh, good evening, Mr. Wellman.
Good evening, Dr. Hall and Mrs. Hall.
Good evening.
Come in.
Thank you. How are you feeling this evening, Doctor?
Fine. Never better. Should have seen the dinner I ate.
Oh, good.
I really tucked it away with both hands tonight, didn't I, Victoria?
You certainly did. And imagine, no sooner had we left the table and settled ourselves in here than he asked for an apple. Here you are, William, have one.
Thank you, Victoria.
Oh, not at all. Would you care for one, Mr. Wellman?
No, thank you. Apples do not agree with me.
Sit down, Mr. Wellman.
Thank you. This was on your book. Excellent mystery, I thought. Have you guessed yet that the elevator girl Dolores is the murderer?
No, I haven't. I imagine I will very soon, though. Is there anything else you wish to see me about?
Oh, yes. I have here a copy of today's edition of the students' newspaper, the Ivy Bulletin. I want to resemble the peace of God in that they are beyond human comprehension. Never has so much pap.
What?
Familiar with it?
Naturally. Everyone knows that prosperous industrialists spend most of their time devouring student publications.
It was an irregular meeting, Doctor. I trust it does not upset you.
Oh, not in the least. Victoria, may I have another apple?
Of course, yeah.
Thank you.
I assumed the board would be familiar with the editorial because of my own interest in the bulletin. I was its editor while a member of the class of 1907. Imagine my horror when I realized they had heard nothing about this editorial and never would have, had I not brought it to their attention.
You must have felt dreadful.
I immediately tried to undo the damage I had so innocently caused. I told them I felt certain there was some explanation for an editorial which discussed me and the other members of the board in terms one would not apply even to a mongrel dog.
And that failed to calm them?
My efforts to pour oil upon the troubled waters merely incensed them the more.
Incredible.
They instructed me to go to the root of the matter and to announce to you that they would press for Buckley's expulsion. His immediate expulsion.
Even to consider it.
Thing entirely between you and the members of the board. of which I merely happen to be the chairman. Oh, good heavens. Look at the time. I didn't intend to stay this long. I must have bored you to death with my dull, sharp talk, Mrs. Hall.
Oh, not at all. Your visit is very stimulating. Gave me all sorts of ideas.
Very kind of you to say so. Good night, Doctor. Don't bother to see me to the door.
Good night. I want you to know I'm fully aware of how you've gone out of your way in this matter of the editorial.
Oh, no, don't mention it. I always like to do whatever I can.
Yes, that's what I mean. Good night.
Is it as bad as it sounds, darling?
No, I'm afraid it'll require more than 6 choruses of God Save the King to save this act, Victoria. I must see young Buckley at once to determine exactly what prompted his outburst. I'll have Grogan locate him. I'll call him now. And... oh, no.
What is it, Toddy?
It's gone. That leaping telephone has slipped its leash and run to cover again. Come on, Vicky. You take that side of the room and I'll take this side. Between us, we should be able to run it down by midnight.
January 13th, 1950, The Halls of Ivy on Classic Radio Theater. Mike Lindell, the inventor and CEO of MyPillow, wants to give back to listeners. You can get great discounts on all MyPillow products if you go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener special. Deep discounts on all MyPillow products like the buy one, get one free special on Giza Dream Sheets. All MyPillow products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty. Call 1-800-951-8175 or go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener special. Use my promo code USA. Now on Classic Radio Theater, more of The Halls of Ivy, starring Ronald and Benita Coleman, January 13th, 1950.
We love the halls of ivy that surround us here today.
As we rejoin the halls of ivy, the rather worried Dr. Hall, with a touch of nostalgia, says,
You know, Victoria, there are times when I wish I were a carefree undergraduate once more.
Oh, stretch out on the couch, Toddy. Put your head in my lap. There.
That's good. You know, in those days I used to wear a yellow slicker covered with funny sayings, such as banana oil. And I wore a blazing red felt hat known as a whoopee crusher. I drove about in a purple Stutz Bearcat sounding an enormous klaxon horn incessantly.
Whatever for?
Why, I had to. In order not to be conspicuous. We were all alike. What the devil's the matter with Grogan and his campus police? Shouldn't take this long to find Buckley.
Oh, relax, Toddy. I'm sure it's not...
It's all right. Don't move, Vicky. I have my foot on it. Hello. Speaking. Yes, Grogan, have you found him? Good. Thank you very much. Good night. Young Buckley is on his way over.
Now, you won't be too severe with him, will you, Toddy? You can be terribly intimidating, you know.
Inasmuch as Buckley stands 6'4" and came out of the war covered with decorations for bravery beyond the call of duty, I don't think you need be unduly concerned for him, Victoria. If you must have fears, let them center about me. I don't relish this interview at all.
If he published a retraction, would that smooth things over?
I'm afraid not. Mr. Wellman, the entire board, in fact, will be appeased by nothing short of a human sacrifice. My own feeling is that Buckley, as editor, is privileged to express his view right or wrong, subject only to a reply by the board being given equal space and prominence in the bulletin. I have very strong feelings about the freedom of the press.
That's one of the reasons I love you, Toddy. You have strong feelings about everything.
Thank you, Vicky. I also have very strong feelings about the freedom of reading. Our press is free to report and interpret, and is also free to distort and suppress. The public is free to read what it will, and is also free to disbelieve and go behind the printed word. Free is a short word that goes a long way. It's one of the most beautiful words in our language. Ever since the Chinese invented movable type half a century before Gutenberg, freedom has been moving forward, in spite of a few bad publishers and stupid readers. a responsible press, and an informed public. Excuse me, am I making a speech again?
Yes. The same one you gave to the journalism class last month, though you fixed it up a little. What'll you do if Mr. Wellman insists Buckley be expelled?
Oh, I'll fight him. Even though the board may take my contract and... Tell me, is it very difficult to manipulate an inflated bladder? Before long, you and I may well find ourselves breaking in a new act in the East End of London.
Well, it's not at all difficult.
Cromwell and Hall, those two funny people. Tell me, lady, how do you know how to make a Venetian blind?
No, how do you make a Venetian blind?
You stick your finger in his eye. Oh, dear, I hope your London audience has mellowed by now.
Yes. Tell me, Dr. Hall, when did you first begin to suspect that you had an aptitude for the theatre?
Oh, I think it was when I first saw you in Give Them Tears in London and returned to see it another 25 times. I'd never before noticed any particular urge in that direction. But it wasn't until our first date that I realized what a talent I had for acting. I remember I'd lost my book of traveler's checks that afternoon. Found myself that evening standing at the stage door. Not a penny in my pockets. Waiting for the one woman in the world upon whom I wished to make a favorable impression.
No, Toddy.
The casualness with which I masked my agony convinced me the stage had lost a genius when I embarked upon an academic career.
So sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Hall.
In view of the reward, Miss Cromwell, my time was well spent. You look very beautiful. Oh, this is for you.
Oh, it's lovely. I've always thought a single rose more charming than great big bouquets of them.
Really? I'm very glad.
I'll wear it in my hair. What made you decide to bring me just one? Did you know I preferred it?
No. It seemed like a good idea somehow. May I say its beauty has faded by comparison?
Oh, no. And the more ways in which we say it, the happier I'll be. It's foggy tonight, isn't it? Is there a taxi out there?
I imagine there must be.
I'm absolutely starved. I never eat before a performance, and I'm always ravenous at the final curtain. Where are we going?
I haven't decided yet.
Oh, well, we might go to the Wedgley. The food's heavenly. You very hungry?
Well, it's funny, but at the moment, I seem to have no appetite whatsoever.
Oh. Well, I think I'm around the corner. Do you mind walking?
Not at all. In fact, I'm in favor of it.
Very quiet.
I was thinking that this is like a daydream come true for me. In London, on a sabbatical, walking in the mystery of night and fog, with you on my arm. It's a heady mixture for a professor.
What would you be doing if you were back home now?
On a Saturday night? Oh, I'd find something stimulating to do, I suppose. Drive through the countryside, or a concert, or a squash game at the club.
Really? On a Saturday night, huh?
Oh, I know that doesn't sound like much when I tell it, but when you're living it,
yes?
Then it's even worse.
Oh.
But I remember an evening like this for the rest of my life. The way it's gone these past few minutes, that is. I think I'd best tell you now that I can't take you to the Wedgley, nor any place else, because I haven't any money.
What?
I misplaced my traveler's checks. The only money I could raise was 2 shillings. Borrowed it from the doorman at the hotel. And I spent that for the rose. I'm terribly sorry.
Oh, no. Don't apologize, please. How did you get to the theater from your hotel? You're stopping at the Hanover, aren't you?
Yes, I walked.
All the way? It's the other side of London.
Oh, I started around 7. Shall I take you back to the theater?
No. Professor Hall, may I say that never in my life has anyone walked a dozen miles to see me, and I'm very moved.
Then I'm glad I ran part of the way.
Oh. Do you think you could walk another 2 miles?
Of course. Why?
Well, my flat's only 2 miles away. There's a perfectly delicious steak waiting, and I happen to be the best cook in the world.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Why, not at all, sir.
You've lifted a mountain from my heart.
Do you mean you want to see him or don't you?
I thought you'd be angry.
Why should I be angry?
Toddy, Penny wants to know whether or not to show young Buckley in.
Buckley? Who's Buckley? Oh, Buckley! Yes, of course. Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. Show him in.
Both Ronald and Benita Coleman, serious actors, Ronald and Benita under her maiden name, Benita Hume, had been in some 55 films. Coleman, an Academy Award winner for Best Actor in the 1947 film A Double Life. I'm Wyatt Cox, the Halls of Ivy from January 13th, 1950, right here on Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station.
America's founders knew power corrupts, and ultimate power corrupts ultimately, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's why they built in checks and balances to prevent any one group from seizing all power.
And that's why our president is elected by a college of electors to protect the rights of little states like Delaware and Wyoming against giants like New York and California. After all, our country is a republic, the United States of America, not the United State. Our states are independent sovereign powers who created the federal government, not the other way around.
And that's why all power ultimately lies in we the people and the states, not a central dictatorship of cronies. Did you know that? Thank God for the U.S. Constitution.
Find out more how our amazing Constitution and Bill of Rights protect us, the citizens, against power-crazed politicians in Washington. Help us take back America. Go to ouramericanrights.com. Brought to you by the American Media Council.
Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station. Now the conclusion of the Halls of Ivy, January 13th, 1950.
Vicky, darling, will you entertain him while I put on a coat? Certain formalities required, and a dressing gown.
Oh, yes, of course, of course.
I'll be down immediately.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Good evening.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes, Jared Buckley, Corporal, United States Army. Retired.
How do you do? Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
You've never been here before, have you?
No, ma'am. This is my first visit to the powerhouse.
Oh, the powerhouse. Is that what the students call it?
Yes, ma'am. Well, this fire feels good. Winter is really here, isn't it? Saw a whole covey of good humor wagons flying south this afternoon.
I hope this call hasn't inconvenienced you.
That's all right. I was out with a girl.
Well, the thought seems to sadden you.
She annoys me. In my relationship with her, I'm something like the hands on that clock over there. I have the feeling I'm making time, but at the end of the day, I'm right back where I started. Oh, well. Have you any idea why Dr. Hall wants to see me?
Well, he'll be down directly to tell you himself, but I don't think I'm violating a confidence to say that's so very unusual.
Unusual? Mrs. Hall, if I were delegated to guard our atomic bomb secrets, I couldn't think of a better way than to print them in bold-faced caps as a newspaper editorial. So someone has read an editorial in the Bull. We must be getting a following.
Oh, yes. A passionate one.
Well, possibly it's deserved. Today's editorial did have a certain style.
If you do say so yourself.
Oh, I'm not being immodest. I didn't write today's editorial.
What's that?
I said I did. Oh, good evening, Dr. Hall.
You say you didn't write today's editorial?
No, sir. It's a reprint.
A reprint? Of what?
Of an editorial that appeared in the Bull years ago, 40, 50 years ago. Written by a fellow named, Wellman. Clarence Wellman.
No.
Yes, sir. Is he any relation to the Wellman on our Board of Governors?
They are one and the same.
I hope you're not angry, sir.
Oh, no. No, quite the contrary. I have never been more pleased.
Oh, I'm glad.
I think you're doing a remarkable job with the Bull. Yes, indeed. Yes, sir, you'd be surprised at the comments I've heard.
Oh, thank you very much.
Well, that's all I wanted to say to you. Thank you for coming so promptly.
Yes, but what
Well, I mean, I don't understand. Why did you... Oh, well, good night, Mrs. Hall.
Good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night, and thanks again.
Don't mention it. Good night.
It's good to see you laughing again, Toddy.
Oh, it feels good too, my darling. Now, will you sit quite still while I make a very pleasant phone call?
If you don't mind my snooping.
I have neither the mind nor the will to stop you. Come closer.
Who are you calling?
You'll see. Hello, Mr. Wellman.
Yes?
This is Dr. Hall.
Doctor?
I am pursuing this editorial investigation with all possible speed.
Your promptness is most commendable.
Thank you. You consider the editorial most destructive, don't you, Mr. Wellman?
More than that. Student opinion of this nature can destroy forever the authority of this college.
And you feel, then, that nothing short of expulsion would be proper punishment for the author?
Beyond expelling him, I personally would like to send him to prison. I consider the writer unfit for any association with Ivy.
I see. Shall I say that to the board in the morning, Mr. Wellman?
By all means.
Very well. But before I hang up, I feel that you should know that Jared Buckley did not write it.
Then who did?
You did, Mr. Wellman, in 1907. Good night. Oh, I feel so good. Vicky,
What?
would you like to play a game I just thought of?
A game? What game, Toddy?
I'm going to blindfold you, hide the telephone, then go down to the drugstore and call you up.
I was curious. I tasted it. Now I know why Schlitz is the beer that made Milwaukee famous.
And here again are Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman.
When we get this month's telephone bill, my dear, don't show it to me. Just pay it. Pay it cheerfully.
Why, won't you want to look it over?
Not this one. No, my last call was worth the entire bill. So just send a check, even though the charges may seem exorbitant. Any conversation I've had with Mr. Wellman, I am happy to consider a long-distance call.
All right.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
We'll be seeing you next week at this time at the Halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman. The other players were Herbert Butterfield, Roland Morris, and Gloria Gordon. Tonight's script was written by Walter Brown Newman. The music was composed and conducted by Henry Russell. The Halls of Ivy was created by Don Quinn, directed by Nat Wolfe, and presented by the Joseph Schlitz Brewing Company of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Ken Carpenter speaking.
The Halls of Ivy ran 2 years on radio from 1950 to 1952. It moved to CBS television for the 1954-55 season. The Halls of Ivy, Ronald and Benita Coleman, January 13th, 1950, on Classic Radio Theater.
You know, if you feel like you're stuck with a health care plan you don't like, right now is a great time to switch to MediShare. They'll waive your new member fee if you join by January 15th. So that's $170 in addition to all the other savings. The typical family saves $500 or more per month. And MediShare has double the customer satisfaction rate when compared to health insurance. Double. Again, join by January 15th and save even more. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater, the delightful soap opera Claudia. This was originally broadcast January 13th, 1948.
Boo. Boo, I said. Hey, Boo! Mrs. Norton, where are you? Claudia! Aren't you home? Oh, hello, Shakespeare. You old cat. Where's my wife? Where have you put her? Ah, so you're not talking, are you? Did you get your own tongue, you strong, silent cat, you? Claudia! Hey, Claudia! Well, all right, if you're not home. Here, Shakespeare, hang up my hat.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, old boy, a little big for you. Well, come on in, Cat. We'll have a nice, quiet pipe and get along perfectly well by ourselves. Oh, McNaughton had a farm. Yo, on this farm there are some pigs. Oh, here and a cat and a dog. Shakespeare, how'd you like to live on a farm? Lots of nice field mouse. Would you like a nice field mouse? Where are my matches? Shakespeare, where have you put my matches? Here, matches. No, not you. No, here they are. Oh, McMonald had a match. Yeah. This is nice. Just us two boys. What's that, Shakespeare? Where'd you say she went? Oh, you don't know, huh? And on that farm you had a field mouse. Oh, hello, Mother. Well, I'm glad somebody's home. Certainly I'm home. Where's your daughter? She's playing hooky. No, she isn't here. I thought maybe she was taking refuge with you. But wherever she is, she's got the dog. Now, look, Mommy, you don't need to get worried. No, she'll be along in a minute. How are you feeling? Well, come on over after dinner. Fine. We'll see you then. Goodbye. Come on, Shakespeare. Come sit on the sofa next to me and we'll look into each other's eyes. Hey, this house seems awfully big and awfully empty, doesn't it, without my little wife? Awfully quiet. I wish I had the evening papers.
Boo!
Claudia! You scared me.
Sissy.
Not at all. It's not nice to do that to people.
You're always doing it, and if you don't think it scares me.
Where have you been? Your nose is cold.
I've been to the little store around the corner. I needed some tomatoes.
Boiled, stewed, or sauté?
Fresh.
Fresh. Who, me?
You and the tomatoes. Oh, David, this is the most convenient place to live. Just imagine if it weren't for that little store around the corner, we'd have to do without tomatoes for dinner.
I don't know how we could manage.
No, but seriously, it's true, isn't it?
Of course it is.
I did all the marketing for tomorrow. It's going to be delivered.
It's a wonderful, wonderful century we live in.
Can't ever be serious.
I'm serious. What are you planning to do? Stand around in your coat all evening? Here, give it to me. I'll hang it up.
Oh, just put it down on the chair.
Sloppy.
Put yourself down on the chair, too.
Why should I?
Oh, because I want to sit in your lap.
That's what I was afraid of.
And now I'm going to put Shakespeare down on top of all of it.
Ugh. I am crushed.
You should be flattered.
Where's Bluff?
Sleep in the bedroom, I guess.
Doesn't he want to come in here and jump up on top of the heap?
Shall I call him?
Oh, don't you dare.
This is nice, isn't it?
This is heavy.
This is what I wait for all day.
Don't you think you're overdoing it a little?
Don't you like it?
No, I know what it feels like to be the bottom piece of a lettuce in a club sandwich.
A deluxe club sandwich.
A 75-cent sandwich.
With a pickle.
Claudia, get your elbow out of my eye.
What's the matter?
Claudia, you're getting fur all over me now.
What's the matter with
shedding.
a little cat fur?
Nothing, except I don't like it.
Why don't you like it?
I just don't, that's all.
You don't mind a little dog fur, do you?
Oh, that's different.
Why?
Because I refuse to answer any more questions.
I know why, because...
Why?
I'll just answer this one question, because dog fur, you think, is more manly than cat fur.
Ridiculous.
You could say ridiculous, all you like, but that's the truth. Because you're a man, you think you have to go around being manly all the time.
I can't think of a better reason, can you?
Silly, but I'm glad you're a man.
You are?
It's nice, yes.
Well, if you're so glad, stop getting cat fur all over me.
Sweet little cat, don't you think? He doesn't even claw at any of the furniture.
I think that's very unfair to Shakespeare. Cats have to claw at something besides your stocking.
What do you want me to do, take him to the park on a leash? I look silly with a big dog in one hand and a little cat on the other.
I think Shakespeare is a country cat.
A what?
I mean, I think he ought to live on a farm where he can lap up all the milk.
He gets all the milk he wants?
On a farm, he can lap it up right out of the milk bucket.
As it is, he falls into his saucer. He'd drown if he fell into a milk bucket.
And in the country, he'd have trees to claw at to sharpen his toes, and he could run up to the top and drop chestnuts as we pass by.
All the chestnuts in this family are dropped by you, David Norton.
That's a lovely
Shakespeare, how
thought.
do you feel about chestnuts? He doesn't.
He doesn't know what he's missing. Claudia, I am gasping for air. You're growing heavier by the minute.
It's Shakespeare. He's growing. David, how do you feel about a cup of tea?
I'd feel good about anything if you'd get up off my lap.
I'm not insulted. All right, I'm up.
Suddenly, I feel so light. I never appreciated your not sitting on my lap so much before.
That's why I sit on it.
I am not insulted.
Well, I'll put the kettle on. I'll be right back.
Hurry up.
Anything special?
Does it have to be anything special because I like to talk to you when I get home?
You've got plenty of opportunity.
Darling, I can hardly breathe when you're sitting on my lap. How do you expect me to talk?
Oh, there's the doorbell. I'll answer.
You want me to go?
You're so crushed, I don't see how you could possibly walk.
Breathing and walking have nothing to do with each other.
It's the groceries, David.
Need any money?
I paid in the store.
You're getting smarter every day.
Oh, isn't this the most convenient way to live?
It's not bad.
Not bad. It's delirious.
If you put down that package, I'll let you sit on my lap.
You will?
Just to show you my heart's in the right place.
Where is your heart?
It's not on my lap.
Here I am. Now, what was it you wanted to talk to me about?
I didn't want to talk to you about anything.
You didn't. Funny, I had a feeling you did.
No, nothing special. How are you feeling?
Fine. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
But I'm not going to be a mother.
Well, I'm not going to be a father, so we're even.
What'd you do all day?
Oh, nothing. It got cold out this afternoon, so I stayed home. So nice and snug here.
Fritz keeps the apartment nice and warm, doesn't he?
It's an awful lot of trouble for him.
Well, it does mean stoking the furnace several times a day.
It does sound like a lot of trouble. I'm glad we don't have to worry about that sort of thing.
Oh, I don't think I'd mind.
You would if you had to do it. It's one of the great advantages of living in an apartment. You don't have to worry about things like heat, hot water, light plugs, faucets, and things like that.
Well, there are lots of disadvantages, too.
Name one.
Well, it's artificial, sort of 20th century cliff dwellers.
We are? Cliff dwellers?
Mm-hmm.
What are they?
Cliff dwellers? They're cliff dwellers. The term is self-explanatory.
Never heard of them.
They balled up.
Where do they live?
They don't anymore.
Well, you just said they did.
I'm sorry, I mentioned them.
So am I.
Why you?
Because it interrupted what it is you have to tell me.
Me? I have nothing to tell you. Why?
Got that look.
What look? The new look?
No, of having to tell me something. Is it about the office?
It's not about the office.
Is it about Lottie?
It is not about Lottie.
Is it about Roger?
Ooh, in a way.
I knew it. In what way is it about Roger?
Roger was up to Eastbrook yesterday. He saw a farmhouse.
Farmhouse? That doesn't sound so exciting. What about it?
It was beautiful, and it was for sale.
David.
No, he didn't buy it, darling.
Oh, that's a relief. What could he possibly do with a silly old farmhouse in Eastbrook?
He could live in it.
What for?
Well, lots of people live in farmhouses, or even just plain houses in Eastbrook.
Not people like us and Roger. We live in New York.
We do now, but that doesn't mean that we'll always have to.
Is Roger going to buy it?
No, he has no intention of buying it. But it's a beautiful place, he says. Barns and everything.
Barns? What for?
Cows, milk. What do you think for?
Why bother with a barn when you've got a back door?
That's what I said. It's not the same thing at all, I don't think.
The milk is milk no matter where it comes from.
That's all a matter of opinion.
It is?
Wouldn't you have a wonderful feeling of pride and ownership in a glass of milk that came from your own cow?
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't, huh?
Would you?
I might.
Well, since Roger's not buying the place, there's no point in discussing it even, is there?
No, but... Claudia. Claudia, does the land mean anything to you?
What land, David?
Land that you might own. Land that would be yours with trees and a brook and fields on it.
I think it'd be just a nuisance.
It'd be wonderful for Bluff and the baby.
Bluff loves it here. And the baby isn't here yet, and the park is just around the corner waiting for him. The park's full of trees. It has a lake and everything.
But it's not yours.
Thank goodness. You should see all the men it takes to keep it looking nice in the summer.
I think it'd be kind of exciting to own a place of our own. To have it year after year. Not to pay rent to anybody. To have our children on it. To grow old on it. To...
David, you're not talking about Roger buying that farm. You're talking about us buying it.
Don't be silly. I told Roger this afternoon. I wasn't the least bit interested.
You don't sound the least bit not interested.
Well, certainly, I told him that. I said, Roger, I'm not interested. I told him that.
What did you tell him?
Claudia, I think you've talked me into something.
David, me?
And I think you've talked me into wanting that place, wanting it very much, even though I don't want it at all.
Well, then what?
I mean, I don't want it today or tomorrow, but someday, darling, it'll be perfect for us.
David, you're not making sense. I haven't said a word for it. I like it here. The mail at the door, the newspaper, the milkman mama around the corner. Don't you remember this morning, darling? I like it here.
You're right, Claudia. You're right. I love it here. That's why I wish you hadn't made me sound like Roger. Roger's a funny guy talking about that place, farmhouse and everything, because now, what's the use? All I can think of is that blasted cow standing at our back door.
This broadcast of Claudia was supervised and directed by William Brown Maloney. Every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you, transcribed, with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again tomorrow at the same time. And now this is Joe King saying au revoir. And remember, whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you may be, when you think of refreshment, think of Coca-Cola. For ice-cold Coca-Cola makes any pause the pause that refreshes.
January 13th, 1948, Claudia on Classic Radio Theater. Visit our webpage, would you please, classicradio.stream, where you can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting, and contact me there. We have also our social media contacts as well, so you can stay in touch with us. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Also remember that our shows are available anywhere podcasts are served on the internet. All you have to do is search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. That's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And please tell all your friends and thank this radio station. Support their advertisers. Their kindness and courtesy allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite station. And like I started to say, tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater on your favorite radio station.